Good afternoon, all of you. We all are assembled here as a part of the theme, the carbon reduction and electrification stage, and the specific session which we are having in and around climate resilience and sustainability. We have been discussing the energy transition, sustainability, the climate change almost every day as a part of industry, and that's the real buzzword today. India being one of the third largest energy consuming country, India being one of the most economically stable country in the world, the entire world is looking towards India's stands. The involvement of India plays a very vital role in terms of the global demographies as well, because it's not only a world's largest market and largest consumer base. Literally, each sixth person in the world is Indian today, and that is how this market is having a potential today in terms of a requirement of energy and the requirement of optimization, reduction. The new sources of energy has to play their role in the country. As the India story is moving fast, we are growing in various other resources of energy like electrifications, EVs. At the same time, we are also largely targeting the green energies, new energies at very wider scale. We, being such a high potential country, also have set a target of net zero by 2070, which is one of the challenging in terms of the 140 billion plus population of this country, and India is also still a developing country. We need another couple of decades to have our journey from a developing country to a developed country. Today, for this specific discussion on climate resilience and sustainability, we have a very diverse group of experts, representatives from industries. Coming from oil and gas industries, they are the subject matter experts in the carbon planning and carbon management. There are experts in the group in terms of technology and technology driven solutions. I am sure it will be an insightful interaction. We will try to have it very pragmatically, and I can commit you that as we have started on time, we will be really closing it on time. We will also try to have effective discussions in terms of some Q&A at the end of session. To begin, we have Dr. Girish Srinivas. Girish is CEO of TDA Research, and Girish is having an extensive more than 3 decades of experience in terms of the research activities in various domains. Girish is basically managing a very high level technocraft team, which is comprising of 130 plus highly research oriented professionals, 30 PhD doctorate holders, and he himself is a chemistry graduate, and he has earned his doctorate from the University of Arcon and Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from BITS Pilani. He holds an MBA from University of Orlando. So Girish will be talking about his research, his team's research in last couple of decades in terms of the technology driven innovation, more with respect to sustainable initiatives, more with respect to energy transition, and they are also looking for India as one of the most potential market in the coming days. So I think it will be a great opportunity for all of us to begin this session with the Girish's address. Over to you, Girish.
Thank you, Atul, for your kind introductions, and I have to thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to come to beautiful Goa. It's my first trip to Goa, even though I've been in the US for a long time and I've visited India plenty of times. So as Atul said, I'm going to talk about battery cathode materials as a means to, for carbon reduction. First of all, I just wanted to give you an idea of, who we are. We've been in business since 1987. We're in beautiful Golden, Colorado. If any of you would like to come and visit us, we would be happy to show you around. We have about 135 people, about 30 PhDs. And the pictures there are our facility, about 80,000 square feet of labs and office space and manufacturing. In the energy space, we do a lot of work. We have a couple of commercial technologies that we have licensed with carbon capture and sulfur removal for oil and gas. And then we have reforming technologies where we take waste oils and convert them to hydrogen for use in fuel cell or hydrogen applications. We also have small scale hydrogen that we work with the Department of Defense. And in the battery and electrolyzer space, I'll talk about the lithium iron phosphate and lithium manganese iron phosphate, which are new materials for cathode that are being popularized. And also we have some really cold temperature battery material technologies as well. So switching to lithium iron phosphate, most people know about NMC, the standard cathode material, which have cobalt in them that's expensive. Lithium iron phosphate battery market in the global space is forecast to increase significantly with about a 15% compounded annual growth between now and the end of the decade. And this is an interesting graph that shows the estimated demand for LFP, and this is specifically in the US market, and the capacity. As you can see, there's a huge gap between the demand and the capacity. What it really shows is that there is a place for everybody to play, as many people, a lot of players to play in this space in order to bridge the gap between the demand and the capacity. So we're looking forward to partnering with companies worldwide to advance our technology. So LFP and LMFP. LFP stands for lithium iron phosphate. LMFP stands for lithium manganese iron phosphate. And what we are doing as a company is we have been working in the last 10 years or so to develop a process to manufacture LFP and LMFP. And the advantages are that the LFP is economically viable, environmentally friendly, and there is a significant growth in the market. Cost is the main driver because most of the cathode materials that are used right now contain cobalt, which is expensive and rare. And most of the current LFP and LMFP manufacturers are in China, the primary ones being BYD, A123, and CATL. And as far as the U.S. perspective, the U.S., the Department of Defense, or the Department of War right now, is as it's called, the Department of War is focused on developing U.S.-based capacity for LFP and LMFP. So our goal is to develop a low-cost, continuous process to make large quantities of LFP and LMFP. So the traditional way of making LFP is what's called the solid-state batch process. That's what's being used in China. And what it's done, and I won't go into details of each of these boxes, but really what's done is you first precipitate iron phosphate, filter and dry it. You have multiple mixing and ball milling steps, multiple heating steps between 600 and 800 degrees Celsius. and eventually you add carbon to the process and you coat the carbon. The carbon is added in order to provide conductivity to the LFP and the LMFP material. So the disadvantages of this process, which has historically been done, is it's a batch production, it's hard to scale up, multiple ball milling and heating steps, and energy intensive. What we have come up with is a continuous production which is easily scalable, and we have assembled unit operations, put together unit operations in order to put very simple steps to scale it up. So you could scale it up like you would a chemical process. And you mix all of the ingredients into a reactor, multiple reactors, and then you get the LFP that's coated with carbon, and you have one heating step. It also provides excellent performance and smaller particle sizes, which help in the performance as well. So we're looking for chemical manufacturers with whom we can partner in order to scale up the process. So this is our pilot plant in our facility, and we are scaling it up to about a 10 kilograms per day capacity that we can provide LFP and LMFP to partners for testing. And we have a patent that's pending in the US. This really shows what's called the X-ray diffraction, which is an analysis of the crystal structure of the material that we make. And what you see in the top graph is the scan of the X-ray of the material we make, and at the bottom is the standard. And as you can see, it matches extremely well. So we make our LFP with a 99+% purity. And then you make the LFP and you coat it onto a substrate in order to make the cathode material or the plates. This is a scanning electron microscope image of the material. The only point of this material is that, or this image is that it's a uniform material as far as the particles are concerned. So it shows a uniform morphology under the SEM. As I said, our particle sizes are slightly smaller than what you would find with commercial. So the particle size distribution at the 50% and at the 90% cumulative distribution size, as you can see for commercial, it's about 9 micrometer at the 50% and 300 microns at the 90%. We are substantially smaller. We're at about 4.75 or less than 5 microns. And what that translates to is it translates to higher performance when you put them into cells and test them. One other advantage we have with our process is the fact that we make the LFP and the LMFP material and coat them with carbon in a single step. In the commercial process, you end up making the LFP, LMFP, and then add carbon to it. As you can see the pictures, and these are TEM, or the very high resolution microscopy images. And on the right-hand side, you see the commercial process where the carbon is mixed in with the LFP. And with our process, you see a fine coating of 5 to 6 nanometer size coating of carbon on the LFP. So the advantage of that is that diffusion into the LFP is substantially hindered with the commercial process, but in our case, it isn't. So there is an improvement in performance. So once we make the LFP, we test them in multiple different ways. We make coin cells, which are easy to make and easy to test. And we have our partners, we test them ourselves, and we have our partners testing them. This is the discharge cycles over time, 350 cycles. And it maintains about 90% of the capacity at 325 cycles. I won't go into details of the testing other than to show you that we make the pouch cells on the right-hand side, and the pouch cells are assembled into a battery. So you make the pouch cells, we make them ourselves, and we've had commercial partners of ours who've made the commercial pouch cells using our LFP material, and the performance compares well, if not slightly better, than commercially available LFP. So this is LMFP. So what happens with LFP is that the energy density for LFP is slightly lower than that of the NMC, or of the cobalt-based cathode material. So in order to improve the energy density of the LFP, what people have done is added manganese to the mix. And when you add manganese to the mix, anywhere from 50 to 70%, it improves the energy density. You see the images of our LMFP, or the manganese added LFP material. And the morphology is a little different compared to LFP. They're more rod shaped as opposed to spheres. And we are now looking at performance of our LMFP material because LMFP is now gaining more and more importance compared to LFP because of the high energy density. So we have a stable capacity and an energy density of about 155 to 160 watt hours per kilogram, which is about 10 to 15% higher than the energy density of LFP pouch cells. This is LMFP performance comparison with our material and two commercial materials. And these are different cycling rates, 0.1C being the most favorable ones, all the way down to 3C. And as you can see, our performance of our material appears to be much better than what you would find with commercial materials. The final point, why do we need a new process to make LFP or LMFP? Obviously, economics are important. The details of the process are, relatively simple. The most important thing is at scale, and this is for 100,000 metric ton per year of material that's made. 90% of the cost of the LFP or LMFP is feed cost. What this really means is that the feed costs dominate the cost of the material. The processing costs are only about 10%. So that's a very favorable dynamic for any commercial process. And to summarize, we've developed a novel LFP and LMFP material. It's patent pending in the US. It's a lower cost and a continuous process. We have contacted a number of auto manufacturers in the US, the big three, and they are interested in getting the materials. What they are looking for with us are partners to manufacture the materials. And right now we're looking for commercial manufacturing partners for scaling up and commercially making the LFP and the LMFP. So that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Moving ahead, we have Nishant Sharma with us. Nishant is Deputy General Manager and working for NTPC, a very well familiar name in India and global as well. Nishant currently he is basically heading the activities of strategic planning and risk management at NTPC. His key role involved strategic initiatives in India's largest power utility sector. He stands out as a dynamic leader in a global energy space with remarkable contribution across both professional and academic arena. He is a member of two prestigious national boards of the World Energy Council (WEC) since 2021. Nishant is also represented India on the Future Energy Leaders Board or WEC as in 2024, and a very dynamic leader with 2+ decades of experience in energy domain and power domain. So I request Nishant to kindly take over.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a privilege to stand here today in front of you at IEW 2026, a great place where ideas, individuals and institutions come together. This is a topic, nuclear energy powering India's net zero future, which is spoken a bit cautiously. Now, I will try to keep it as less technical as possible so that everyone understands it. And when they leave this room, they understand what is nuclear power, what is net zero, how they do come together, and what are the challenges that we are facing and what we need to do about it. So, as Atul has said that I actually I'm a co-chair at Trilemma, World Trilemma in World Energy Council. Part of that initiative, we actually published a report on net zero, and this thing has come out of it. That how nuclear energy can actually help in net zero and what are the scenarios where it will be doing it. So we live in the world of Amrit Kal. So India is growing very rapidly with a GDP growth of 7 to 8% every year. And it is expected to do so till 2047. We have an ambition of being a developed nation, having a 25 to 30 trillion economy, per capita GDP of somewhere around $12,000 to $14,000 by 2047. But this is not an abstract idea. In India, if you see elasticity, basically the relation between GDP growth and electricity growth is somewhere around 0.76. So if you want to have a GDP growth of 8%, you will require an electricity growth of 5 to 6%. So that's actually a big one. And now because we are concentrating on manufacturing, this requirement is going to grow still. Now, we have two big tasks in front of us. To be a developed nation by 2047, to achieve a net zero by 2070, and both have to come together. So here, renewable will definitely help, but it will require the growth of nuclear energy, that too at a very, very strong rate if we want to actually achieve it. So how actually net zero's strategy and nuclear come together? We have done very well in renewables. Today we are one of the topmost in we are the country which has one of the biggest installed capacity of solar and wind. But with it comes problems of intermittency. With it comes problems of volatility. So we need something which gives us the strength, the base load of thermal, but actually gives us even a sustainable power. So nuclear actually here solves both the issues. What are the other things which combine, which actually make it nearer to help us in net zero? So first thing, grid stability. I have already spoken about it. We'll come to it later in one of the slides. Next is industrial use. Now electricity has one problem. It can't help hard to abate sectors. But here nuclear power helps because it doesn't only give you electricity, but also heat. So all the sectors like steel, like cement, which requires heat, their nuclear power can help. So in these hard to abate sectors, also in hydrogen, we'll come to it maybe a little bit later in the presentation. And last, the climate impact. So nuclear energy is one of the most cleanest type of electricity. So today we are standing at 8.8 gigawatts. We aspire to reach 100 gigawatts in next 22 years, maybe 21 to 22. 2026 has just started. So in 22 years, we need to increase it 12 times. But it is just not that 12 times increase of capacity. It is around 19 to 20 lakh crores of investment. It is around 1.8 lakh jobs created, that too at the peak capacity. So these are the things which have to be solved if we want this 12x times of increase. One thing more I wanted to bring it out here. So here if you see, our main impact is on PHWRs and PWRs. They constitute a major part of the growth. LWRs and FBRs and SMRs will be also coming, but at a smaller rate. Why? We'll talk about it. So, if we, when we are thinking of this 12 times growth, we are taking a 4-pronged strategy here. First thing is SMR program. Now, what is the silver bullet called SMR? Why we are so much, relying on it? So, if I want to bring it to a layman's language, prior to 1915, car was considered a luxury because it was not built on module scale. Then came Ford's Model T. Now what Model T did? It reduced the power. Why? Because assembly line came in. So now as cars started being built in assembly line, they became cheaper. So this is the thought we have towards SMRs. So instead of having big nuclear reactors, if we can make small modular reactor which can be built on assembly lines, then the power will actually become cheaper. So this is the thought about SMRs. Other than that, we have to bring in private participation. We have to build them in fleet mode. So that is already being done. Around 10 gigawatts of nuclear reactors today are being built, but they are mostly PHWRs. And next is the localization. So we'll have to actually bring it to local so that the costs can come down. So there are 4 technologies we are talking about: PHWRs and FBRs, LWRs and SMRs. I'll talk only about PHWRs on this slide because I have a dedicated slide for each of them. So PHWRs, it's India's own technology. It is an indigenized technology. That's why we are relying so much on it. Around 46 gigawatts out of the 100 gigawatts estimated is coming out of that PHWRs because we built it and we can do it in home. Next comes LWR collaboration. So at present, India has LWR only at Kudankulam, that is a VVR from Rosatom. That's a Russian technology. But in future, India is actually diversifying its thought process. So it is trying to get EPR from France, Arriva, which will be coming at Jaitapur, and from USA also, G, previously it was Westinghouse, now it is G. So that is bringing the 1000 megawatt, AP1000 technology. So these are the LWRs. They will also be giving you base load at a high capacity. So normally they are 1000 to 1600 gigawatts of capacity, megawatts of capacity for each unit. Next comes small modular reactors. Now small modular reactors are basically, as I said, that they are the silver bullets which we need. We actually need to bring it to the assembly line stage so that costs can come down, because the only thing which is preventing today nuclear to go fast is the cost. So today SMRs are costly, but with time they can actually come down. And what actually SMR, other than bringing down the cost, will do, it will actually be, it can be used in remote locations. It can be used for heating loads. It can be used with long fuel cycles. So just now I saw one of the Rosatom's SMR, around 6 years of fuel cycle. You just install it for 6 years, you don't need to actually fuel it. So such kind of technology we are already having. And that's why government has included 20,000 crores of budget in 2025-26 for SMRs. And we are actually aspiring to get 5 units by 2033. And even BSRs are being made, which will be Bharat small reactors, which will be indigenous for us. Next comes our favorite fast breeder program. So here it is basically about Atmanirbhar Bharat. So you must have all read at some point in your academic life or something that we have immense amount of thorium at our beaches in Kerala. So how to use that thorium? So this is the answer. So today the PHWRs and LWRs, they use uranium-235. Now uranium-235, we have limited resources. But FBR program, if this comes into action, all that thorium that is available with India can be used inside these kind of reactors. So this is the biggest advantages of going in fast breeder program. So this is also the part of the 3-stage program that India aspires. Initially PHWRs, then FBRs with plutonium, and then FBRs with thorium power. Now, as I have discussed in one of the slides prior to this, that nuclear is not just for generating power. You can be using nuclear for hydrogen production. So as per estimates, high temperature reactor process around 7,000 kg hydrogen per day. And this hydrogen is not just using nuclear power as electricity. That is pink hydrogen. That's a completely different thing. But when actually nuclear reactions take place, they actually release hydrogen from the water. They split the atom. So that is another way of production of hydrogen, the natural hydrogen. Next comes desalination. Even the spent fuel can be used for actually desalination process. So this will be another way. And last, industrial process heat. So very hard to abate sectors. If you want to use nuclear, power, if you want to use heat, that can be given by your, SMRs or some other form of nuclear reactors. Other than this, there are some other industrial applications like providing heat load to district level, then remote power, environmental remediation, and using it in research of many medical conditions. Next comes the grid stability challenges that we face today. So, as I said in one of the previous slide, that renewables are good, but the problem that they bring to the grid, first is the problem of intermittency. Second is the problem of basically not giving the reactive load. So basically you get it through power electronics, but still you need the reactive power, the synchronous power. For that will be provided by nuclear energy. So it's not that we can achieve net zero only through nuclear power. Renewables will be needed. But for 2000 gigawatts, India is actually a different kind of grid. We are expecting 2047 or 2050, somewhere around 2000 gigawatts, 1600 to 2000 gigawatts of RE power. Now to stabilize that power, we will be having thermal, but we will also be needing some clean kind of form of energy, and that can be provided by your nuclear power. Now, what are the resources that we'll require? Everything well and good, we can actually get everything, but there are three kinds of resources we require. First is the investment, around 19.3 lakh crores. For this, we need different kind of models because nuclear reactors sustain, they last for 60 years, 80 years. So a normal financing model doesn't work here. Initially risk is high, but then it comes down. So can we have some other kind of financial models where risk actually, it depends on the time period. Next comes your fuel requirements. Two types of fuel. One would be uranium-235. Second will be thorium. As we move towards thorium, we become more Atmanirbhar. And last but not least is the workforce requirement. 1.8 lakh people working in nuclear power. It's a big dream. How to train these people? So this will be a big challenge that we'll be facing. So I don't think that I will be finishing it within 2 minutes. With 2 minutes left. So great. So now what actually is the path forward for the mission 2047? So as they say, which I also work in, the trilemma of affordability, security and sustainability. Now whenever we as a policy maker start thinking about net zero, we have to take care of all these three things. And nuclear actually somehow sits in the middle of that. It is giving us security, it is giving us reliability, it can give us affordability if policies actually come together, and definitely it is sustainable. So this will be actually, if actually some advantages are given to nuclear power, both in the demand side as well as the supply side, like VGF funding, introduction of carbon price, efficient urban planning, and introduction of demand response and agricultural load shifting. So these will be few things which will be needed to sustain the demand side sector. And supply side, I have already spoken, there are so many things which need to do. The fuel requirement, the workforce capacity, capability, fulfilling that capability requirement, and the financial requirement. If we can actually give these things, we can frame policies towards it, and definitely the silver bullet of SMR, then we can actually achieve net zero by 2070, and nuclear will be definitely playing a big part in it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nishant. Moving ahead, we have Dr. Pranab Kumar Rakshit, and Pranab represents Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. He is responsible as a DGM R&D. Pranab will be specifically talking about his pilot cum research project, which is like ocean-based renewable energy. So over to you, Pranab.
Very good evening to all of you. Friends, colleagues and distinguished guests, it gives me immense pleasure to be here at the IEW this year. and I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to come over here and make presentation on behalf of my company. So today I'll be speaking on a topic that is very close or very aligns closely to India's clean energy targets. It's about innovating with waves for producing clean energy solutions. Now, as we collectively work towards secure and a sustainable energy future for our country, the ocean waves, they provide a very promising and yet very underutilized area which can be actually captured, and we can make a renewable power out of it. So it's a very exciting opportunity for us, and this presentation actually talks about the innovations and challenges and how we can really tap the potential. So I'll briefly go through the outline of the presentation. I'll start straight away with a the brief introduction, why we are exploring this energy production pathway and why now. Then what is there in India's context, and then various wave energy conversion processes that are existing. This technology solution that we have adopted for our case, and what are the features of this technology, and then what are the synergies exist. And finally, I'll talk about the pilot demonstration work that has been being carried out in our company to set up such a demonstration project. And finally, a summary and way forward. So let me start with a quick snapshot why wave energy is such an exciting frontier. So if you see, nearly 2.4 billion people worldwide, they stay very close to the coastlines, almost within 100 kilometers from the coastline. And producing electricity from ocean waves, which is actually, the demand center as well as the production site are very close by. So naturally, they become very synergistic and strategically placed. So if you produce electricity at the coastline and then transport close by and utilize it, so your transportation costs and all of the power is also reducing, and at the same time, you are actually making use of the renewable power more effectively. Now, according to statistics like US Energy Information Administration, almost 66% of total energy cap of US can actually be met by wave energy that exists around their coastline. Now, if you look at the wave energy energy content, so it has actually 832 times more kinetic energy compared to wind, because the density of water is significantly higher. So thereby, what it means is you are able to extract more power from a unit surface area, much more than compared to wind. So that's what exactly it means. And the international panel on the climate change, that is UN climate panel, which shares that around 29,500 terawatts hour of power actually can be produced worldwide in a year. So what essentially it tells is that all these factors, the energy density, the stability, the proximity of the source and the consumption center, and of course one more point is that this is 24/7 available, unlike solar, which is actually not available during night time. So it is very predictable, and hence actually you can predict what the wave height would be for a given period of time. So that is very predictable. So you can plan accordingly, and that makes this really exciting. So now let us look at the India's context. So what is there for us? So India offers actually very vast coastline, so which has a potential of almost 50 to 60 gigawatts of power. And for our good, the MNRE has already acknowledged that ocean energy is a renewable source which can be utilized. And we aim to achieve 500 gigawatt of renewable power in installed capacity by 2030. That is our target. And hence, this wave energy based power production is a very promising as well as opportunity for all of us. Now, pilot demonstrations have been attempted in the past, and especially in Kerala, and though it has given us valuable insights, the commercial deployments have been really limited because of very high technology cost, and because of harsh marine environment, which makes the reliability a question mark, and accordingly to compensate for that you need more OPEX to maintain, so thereby making the unit cost of energy very high. So let us look at the wave energy conversion process. So essentially, wave energy, any wave energy conversion process works on the principle that there is a kinetic energy available in the ocean wave, and somehow we have to capture that energy, whether it's a vertical movement or horizontal or pressure changes, and then convert it into a mechanical energy source and use that to drive a electric generator to produce electricity. So essentially that's how it works. So the figure in the left actually shows you various kind of wave energy conversion unit that exists, but essentially all of them basically they have their own innovative way to capture the wave motion, but the core principle remains same. Once the energy is captured, they convert it to basically to produce renewable power. So while wave energy has a huge potential, the technologies developed so far has its own challenges as well. So first of all, they are very expensive and complex at times, and because of exposure to saline water, the reliability is a question mark, and they are costly to insure, and some of them has negative environmental footprint as well, because some of them actually they affect the marine life that is existing beneath the water surface. So all these points have their it also creates a question mark on whether it can viably utilized for a longer duration. So what we have done is we have actually explored various technologies, and we have actually gone ahead with technology which has developed by Messrs. EcoWave. They are Israel-based technology, and what they have done is they have tried to maintain most of their hardware on the shoreline above ground, and not actually putting anything beneath the water surface. So what they've done is they have put floaters on the wave surface, and when the wave moves up and down, this floater moves, and along with this floater there is a piston cylinder assembly which has actually a hydraulic fluid inside. So once this piston moves, the hydraulic fluid gets compressed, which is then further collected in an accumulator, and the pressurized liquid is then used to drive a hydraulic generator that produces the power. So that's how it works. So it's very simple, and actually because of the fact that most of these equipments are not underneath the water, so reliability question that has been faced in the previous cases is somewhat eradicated. It's not completely. It has its own challenges as well. It's not that it's the very good solution and it doesn't have any constraint. It has its own constraints, but we have to, there's a trade-off between reliability and the amount of power you can really generate from a given surface area. So I'll quickly go through the features of this technology. The cost efficiency, like I mentioned, that there are no deep water mooring and foundation systems, no underwater cables. So your exposure to saline water is minimum, and hence the cost efficiency is really low. Then local fabrication. I mean, the design is very, very simple. So the floaters are like boat kind of structures, and you have cylinder piston assembly which are locally manufactured, can be locally manufactured in India. Then you have the hydraulic modules or the frames. Definitely they can be fabricated. So the entire design framework can actually be fabricated in India, thereby making it very cost effective and cheap. Scalability, because it's a modular, so you have a series of floaters which can be placed to generate the power. So scalability is another factor, and scaling up from a small scale to higher scale will not be a problem. Safety issue, I mean, during extreme weather, these floaters actually get locked, so thereby protecting it from any untoward incident and loss of properties. So what a synergy we have. So this technology has been proven in various multiple locations, which is good. And primarily it needs jetties and piers kind of assembly to mount the floaters. So BPCL has a lot of such infrastructure already available with us. So that is how it is actually reducing cost for us. We don't really need to build a civil structure near the coastline, and hence we can use our existing structure to actually generate power from the way what is available in the coastline. So integrating this technology along with the infrastructure, that it helps us in achieving our energy targets, which is achieving net zero by 2040. So that is what the main objective is. Now let me take you through the objective of the pilot plant. So technical feasibility is something why we are going ahead for this demonstration is to basically to establish the feasibility. I mean, we want to see for ourselves what all the practical challenges are and how this wave energy conversion process works. So that is something we definitely want to do here. And then the second major thing is that we have our own technical assessment done already, but Still, we would like to revalidate it, because then once you run the machine, you can actually relook and see what all the assumptions that we have made to make the financial model or the technology to make assessment are correct or not, and accordingly you can recalibrate and rework on the economics. And finally, the scalability framework means, so like I said, it's a very scalable module. So you need to arrive at a unit module. So what should be the unit module size should be, which can be reproduced to generate a very high commercial level. So that is also one of the objectives. So the site selected for the project is Mumbai. It is ideal because it has moderate and consistent wave conditions. So we have around 0.5 to 8.8 meter of wave height available in the location. The energy period, basically the time frame between two successive crest or troughs. So that is what the time frame is, which is also very healthy. Water depth 8 to 10 meters and proximity to our own marine oil terminal, which actually gives us a consumption center. So that helps us a lot. And this, the table below is basically the details of the various the electrical systems. Now, economy aspect, it comes around 20 to 24 crores per megawatt, so it's a bit very high. And the capex component is equally distributed various components, like the hydraulic system costs the highest, around 30%. The floaters, the steel frames around 25, control system around 20, like that. OPEX is very less, 50 lakhs per year, because it doesn't need much of maintenance. The plant life assumed to be 20 years and 2000 megawatt hour of power can be achieved. So with this assumption, the levelized cost, which we believe would be around 10 to 11 kilowatt hour, so which is really promising for a technology which is really kicking in and is of small scale currently. So, so in summary, what I can mention you that first, the wave energy currently has higher capital cost compared to solar and onshore wind because of limited commercial deployment. And so as we enhance our local manufacturing capabilities and we reduce the import dependency, I believe this levelized cost would reduce further. Then one more major strength of this technology is the scalability part, because we only need to add floater modules to increase the power. So that gives a lot of flexibility and is easy to scale up. And the energy instability, like I mentioned, because the wave energy data is very much predictable, so you can really predict how much you can generate from a given place and site. Environmental benefits, this technology actually doesn't affect the aquatic ecology at all, because none of its hardware components are underneath the ground, so it's purely safe, and it helps us in predicting, basically doing the producing the power more. I have given a simple comparison. So it's currently a bit on higher side compared to the existing ones that are well established now. But like I mentioned, as it goes forward, things would be much more better. So way forward would be we need to actually identify geographical zones which are good for setting up this unit. So a thorough study on various geographical zones has to be carried out along the coastline, and we should also try to integrate this with solar and wind, because it can actually complement, so you can have a much more stable output of renewable power. Then we should support research institute startups to develop conversion techniques based on Indian conditions. Long-term R&D funding is definitely required, and probably domestic manufacturing incentives like PLI schemes and having a clear energy policy targets will also help. With this, I close my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pranab. So moving ahead, we'll go to Joy Thanglian. So Joy is representing again Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited as a DGM. Joy brings with 2+ decades of industrial experience, and he has been working in operations, project safety, and series of operational excellence project. I request Joy to kindly take over, and he will be talking about a topic of carbon capture and utilization, so which is again very close to each one of us. So over to you, Joy.
Hi, good evening everyone. I am thankful to IEW my organization, Bharat Petroleum, and to my boss, Dr. Santanu Purohit, for this opportunity to talk on this subject. In this highly carbon conscious global economy, as we are engaged in the marketing of refined petroleum products, we face a dual challenge. One is to meet the relentless demand for energy and also navigating the strict net zero regulations. So in this situation, integrating CCUs, that is smart system integration using AI, is the way out. And it is not just about an engineering approach, but it is a strategic tool, especially for a marketing person like me. It is to protect the refinery throughput and also to verify our green credentials for the customers. And also it helps in opening up potentially new product lines like synthetic fuels. So let us look at how AI helps us transforming the carbon capture from being a cost center into a competitive advantage. So here we are looking at the intersection of digital business and downstream operations. The specific market challenge which we are trying to solve here is our sector, that is the refining and retailing, is a massive contributor of global CO2 emissions. And here we need to know why the traditional methods of the traditional methods are failing. When I say the traditional methods, we are already engaged in efficiency improvement, and even we have done the fuel cheating. But these are insufficient to meet the carbon reducing requirements of hard to abate sources like catalytic crackers and hydrogen production units. For us, that is a marketing company like us, it is a very relevant area. If we cannot mitigate these specific high intensity emissions, we have a risk. The risk is that there can be regulatory caps which reduces our production and also which even reduces our market share. So if standard efficiency is not enough, then what can we do? Yeah. Now we have a potential solution in hand, which is CCUS, and here we are moving towards carbon capture, utilization, and storage. Right. This allows us to capture CO2 directly at the source. And for a marketing person like me, the opportunity for us is in the U, which is the utilization, which is apart from just burying the waste, we can utilize the captured CO2 to produce chemicals, building materials, and synthetic fuel. The key concept here is to support the production of blue hydrogen, which is a premium low carbon product, and this will be increasingly demanded by our customers. However, as you would be all aware, carbon capture is historically a very energy intensive process and it is very expensive. So here we are trying to talk how we are going to solve this issue first. Here we'll be talking about the importance of technology and AI. The enabler here is that to couple the CCUs with AI and Industry 4.0 technologies. Why AI? AI enables predictive analytics and adaptive decision making. By this, we try to reduce the energy penalty. We know what is energy penalty. It is the extra fuel which is needed to capture, which is needed to run the capture capability. This ensures that the refining cost remain competitive, and the relevance again for the marketing sector here is it lowers our operating cost and also it lowers the carbon. The lower carbon producers can be priced more competitively. So if I am competing with somebody who is not integrating their CCUS with AI, then I can capture a bigger market share. So we'll try to visualize how digital workflow operates across the supply chain. The smart CCU workflow here captures the flow from the capturing point to the transportation and then further on to storage or utilization. We mentioned digital twin there. Here, the digital twin comes in useful where we create a virtual replica of the plant which can help us simulate scenarios. So while implementing the capture, we do not disrupt the refiner's actual fuel production. And also, as we have mentioned here, as I've mentioned in the previous slide, the utilization part, the U part, here we are able to generate synthetic fuels and also chemicals. And also by this, we are turning waste stream into a revenue stream. To ensure that this works, we need a rigorous monitoring framework which is required to verify our claims. Why do we have to verify our claims? We need traceability. Traceability is demanded by the customers, and also traceability is required for us because it helps in our ESG compliance, right? So the framework, it covers everything from purification to logistics. And when you talk about logistics management, the AI here, it coordinates the transport, that is either by pipeline or shipping, to ensure seamless handoffs of the product. This guarantees that the CO2 which we capture actually reaches its destination efficiently. And again, coming to the marketing relevance, this AI-driven verification is crucial for ESG certification. This system provides a data trail to prove to customers and regulators which is necessary to market the low carbon fuel. Okay, so does this technology actually deliver results? We'll be looking at the results, the data now. So pilot projects in India, they indicate the potential to reduce CO2 emission in downstream units by almost 30 to 50%. On the supply security side, the predictive analytics, it allows us to achieve reductions without compromising the refinery throughput, which is very important for us. This means that we can be green and still meet our volume targets. Beyond just compliance, this supports EOR, which is enhanced oil recovery, which can actually boost our crude availability. So what is the bottom line for our business strategy? There is a transformative pathway in which a viable pathway to decarbonize operations that were previously thought impossible to clean up, right? And then we have the operational integrity, where we have proven, we are able to prove that it is possible to decouple decarbonization from production loss. That is, by decarbonizing, it doesn't mean that we'll be incurring losses. So we do not have to choose between being clean and being productive. We can be both. And also the feasibility. The pilot studies, they confirm that technology is ready and we can leverage our existing infrastructure, which means that we don't have to rebuild our entire distribution network from scratch. So finally, here is a roadmap for the immediate future. So what we need to do is we need to accelerate deployment of this AI-enabled units. Then as the previous speaker has mentioned, PPP is very much required so that we can reduce our direct capex risk. And also, since we're talking about AI, we have to upskill and uptrain our workforce to be able to handle this digital work. And also global alignment. When you say global alignment, by collaborating internationally, we can align with global carbon pricing, potentially allowing us to trade carbon credits as an additional revenue mechanism. So to conclude, AI-enabled carbon capture, utilization, and storage allows us to future-proof the downstream sector. It transforms CO2 from being a liability into a feedstock for a circular carbon economy. From the marketing perspective again, this enables us to have a stable supply of compliant, verifiable, low-carbon products to meet our growing market demand. That will be all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joy. We have now last representation from Ms. Geeta Singh. Geeta is talking about very unique topic of salinity gradient energy or blue energy. So they have been operating in this domain from close to 2 decades now, and they have really came up from an experimental stage to a practically commercial stage. So I request Geeta to kindly take over.
Trying to be louder because the energy level is very high, it seems. perks of being the last speaker. So blue energy, or salt gradient energy, or osmotic energy. This is the energy we generate when there is a difference in salt concentration between two water sources. This phenomena happens when a river is about to meet the ocean. Or desalination projects, they have discharge, two-stage ROs with two discharges. We can club both these discharges and generate electricity. So we always need to have two sources of water, one sweet water, one salt water. Now the sweet water or the fresh water does not have to be 100% pure. It can be as impure as having 0.5 grams per liter of salt to 2 grams per liter of salt. There are various permutation combinations, so river water with seawater, treated wastewater mixed with desalination brine, and freshwater discharge and high salinity reject streams. So these are some of the combinations which we can use to generate round-the-clock renewable energy, which is known as osmotic energy or salt gradient energy. We do not have any intermittency issues because the river is continuously flowing into the ocean, so the power we can generate is round-the-clock power. And the energy that we generate is also DC current, which can be directly fed into the industries or green hydrogen electrolyzers. Now, how we generate this electricity? So the picture you see on the right-hand side is the stack that we manufacture. The stack consists of ion selective membranes. So we have cations, anions stacked in parallel. When we flow salt water and fresh water in parallel through these stacks, what happens is the Na and Cl starts to separate because we have ion selective membranes. So all the positives move to the one direction, all the negatives to the other, and we have a potential difference through which we can generate DC current. So global potential for blue energy is estimated to be about 3.2 terawatt. And for Asia alone, it is estimated to be about 647 gigawatts. So the picture that you see on the right-hand side shows the exact potential of blue energy globally, where the locations in orange is the more favorable region for installing blue energy. Now, why is that? That is for the reason that this is closer to equator, so warmer climate conditions, which enhances the efficiency of blue energy projects. Also, majority of the rivers are lying within this region where they are trying to meet the ocean. That's why the potential is higher along these regions. So globally, we have two pilot projects installed. The first we installed in the Netherlands. So this pilot project was inaugurated by the King of Netherlands, His Royal Highness King William Alexander. We had installed this pilot project in 2014. So we have on the one hand side North Sea and on the other hand side River Rhine. So we are using the water sources from North Sea and River Rhine, mixing it to generate blue energy. This plant has been operational since 2014. And because of successful work in this project, we have also been awarded Dutch National Icon. This plant is also located in UNESCO protected ecological site. That means we are not supposed to be causing any harm to the ecology around us, which has been proven by various studies conducted by institutes like Deltares and NEOS that we are not causing any harm to the ecology around us. Our second pilot project is in Spain, Alicante. This is based on the treated sewage water, which is a fresh water source, and desalination reject, the high concentrated brine, as our salt water source. So using both these combinations, we are generating blue energy. And with this project, we have graduated to TRL level 8. So what have we achieved through our pilot projects? We have achieved round-the-clock renewable energy, which we can generate as the water is continuously passing into the ocean. We have also observed that there is zero degradation. So our project has the same capability as it has at the time of COD. The capacity utilization factor from our project is as high as 99%. Out of this 99%, about 25% we consume as OX. So the net power output is about 75%. There are various institutions who have done ecology study on our pilot project, and they have concluded that we are not causing any negative harm to the ecology around us. The O&M cost for our project is also very comparable to any water treatment projects. A comparative analysis of blue energy with current date solar, wind and hydro. So how are we different than current solar, wind and hydro? The first thing is we can produce round the clock energy, which is base load power, non-intermittent power. Our capacity utilization factor is as high as 99% and net power output as 75%, which is the highest compared to all these three forms of energy. The ecological impact is negligible in our project. The gestation period, unlike any other base load power project, is very, very small, as low as 18 months. The land requirement for our project is also very, very low. Compared to a solar or wind project, it would roughly account for 2 to 4% of land required. So that's also a great factor for our project. And then the equipment sourcing. Majority of the project equipments can be sourced locally because it consists of pumps, pipes, walls, switches, etc. So all that can be sourced locally. Only 1/3 of the project cost right now will be sourced from our original manufacturing hub in the Netherlands. Now, India is a very favorable blue energy destination. Why? Because it is closer to equator, warmer climate conditions. There are about 26 significant rivers flowing into the ocean, which brings out the immense potential for blue energy in India. Also, the supply chain in India is freely available for about 2/3 of the project cost. And going forward, if we set up large-scale projects in India, we will be bringing in manufacturing capability also to India under the Make in India initiative of the Government of India. Now, this is an excerpt from Wikipedia, which only lists out about 10 to 11 rivers. While we know there are many more rivers in India, but we are limited to only 10 because this is the publicly available data from Wikipedia, which estimates the total blue energy potential for India just on the basis of rivers flowing into the ocean is about 20 gigawatts. Mind you, this does not factor in any desalination project rejects. So adding that to this list, the potential we estimate would be roughly in about 40 to 50 gigawatts. Now, leveraging desalination discharge. We know that desalination projects have become a reality, and getting rid of the high brine discharge from a desalination projects have also become a global issue. Because if we guide it back into the ocean, it is killing the marine life around it. So blue energy comes as a great potential to absorb this high brine discharge and use it for generation of round-the-clock renewable energy. Thank you.
Thanks to the all eminent panelists here. I also thanks to each one of you from the audience side specifically for really being patient and then listening to all of us. Thank you DMG and thank you IEW. Thank you so much.